Duke and Duchess are coming for dinner.
Really? The Duke and Duchess of Devonshire tonight?
Oh. We were chosen. This is our chance to restore your family name. Rewrite history without anyone being the wiser, save for a few debt collectors.
Where is he? Thieving brigand!
Mama, you're going to send us to the poorhouse if you keep this up.
Oh, all the gossip.
Sir, please! This is madness.
But isn't it fun?
He's good, isn't he?
What are you doing? Look at that!
Delicious.
You're an acquired taste, sir.
Dirty little piggy.
Slow down, I'm wearing heels!
Ah! How dare you!
Be calm, my love, be calm.
Good evening, everyone. I've read something out. Visually, the film is often striking. The interiors lit much like the Caravaggios that the savages can no longer afford. A visually compelling world of dimly lit Georgian interiors and deliberately painterly tableau. 5-time Emmy-nominated, double Emmy-winning for The Crown, triple ABC Society Award-winning, MTV Award-winning, Sundance Award-winning, cinematographer, and I'm sure I've missed some, Adriano Goldman ASC BSC ABC.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Really.
Thank you very much for having me, for doing this.
A beautiful film. For a British period film, this ain't The Crown, is it? You shot this in late 2023, and as the expert in period British drama, can you tell us how you first came involved in this?
Well, this was let's say, halfway into the actor strikes in 23. So I was absolutely available, like I think everybody else. And I got a couple producers, I mean, English producers that I kind of more or less knew. They came and they introduced me. They said, look, we know everybody's available. We do not really hope for you. You know, this is a thing for you, that kind of because of the budget and et cetera, and schedule restrictions. But we have Claire Foy and we have Richard E. Grant. And if you want to read the script, I read the script and I felt really kind of, the pace really interested me. And the kind of how illustrated the whole conception is for the story and the rhythm, and you know, because it's kind of it's period, but it's also kind of, there's a very contemporary approach to it, right? Editorially, more than anything else. But and then we met, me and Peter Glens, for the first time in England. It was probably September 23 or something. So it was really quick process because we only had that window with the actors. It was like November, December 23. So we had 3-4 weeks prep so we could see locations, and there had been somehow selected by the locations department. The whole realization of, in terms of like what was actually the budget and not how restrictive it was. But also with the help of friends at Panavision and Panelux, because again, I insist, nobody was working by then, so it was kind of like a joint venture. Like people just, I can tell for me, it was literally, it was a clear choice for mental health, for sanity. Just I want to do something to get busy. I don't know, this strike is going to last another 2, 3, 6 months. So it just gave me a little bit of, hope, to be honest. And also, it gave me the chance to call my crew, my usual crew, and offer them, low rates, but at least we could all get back to work and work together. Claire Foy, of course, is one of the big reasons because of the, relationship we built, let's say, during The Crown. And the fact that this is pre-electricity, the whole story. And Peter Glens, I couldn't say he's a cinematographer, but he's a geek. He really knows about cameras and lenses, and he talks about he loves to show his knowledge, and share it, especially with me and the camera operator. The good thing is we immediately agreed on the C series for the show. He had a specific one, the Macro 55 C series, that there's a specific shot, or it's a Chauncey's profile against the window that you see like a lot of blue horizontal lines. So that the 55 was not supposed to be used for generic stuff. Of course, it was for inserts and proper macro things. But the distortion and how funky the lens was, we actually got a few close-ups with the very strange glass. So we really had a good fun. I mean, in terms of researching flares. I mean, we came along and we really enjoyed the horizontal flares from candles and how visible. I mean, there actually was a very clear choice in terms of language. I mean, I think the flares are going to somehow become a big part of the language. And then, of course, the candlelit scenes. But even my usual approach for day interiors, when, you have the resources and you can have your HMIs outside the window or machines, that wasn't the case. So we also had to plan for some day interiors depending on the sun path. I mean, what side of the house we wanted to be in the morning or the afternoon, so I could use or rely a little bit more on ambient light. The usual super bright sources outside turned out to be like sky panels.
Right.
So it was it was ambitious, but truly small. Truly small. It was a very small budget, very small. I think we shot it in 26 days or 27 days. Yeah. So it was.
So you had less than a month's prep, and you shot in 5 weeks.
I think. If I put it all together, my first meetings with Peter and some discussions over storyboards that he did himself. Probably for me was a little bit more. For the crew, it was 2.5 weeks. Straight to recce's or tech recce's, and a little bit prep. We had one camera test with like costume and makeup, but no sets. So it was really hard to when we went to Goldcrest for the first time, just to go through some close-ups and makeup and camera tests. It didn't feel we had enough to create a lot. Right. So there was no texture or anything period around the actors when we shot them for the tests. But they offered me something that they were developing at the point that I think they called the Fuji stock LUT. Yeah. So
it's an emulation LUT.
Is an emulation of a Fuji stock with a little bit of greens, a little bit of cyan, and especially the low lights. And because I just had to bet on something, I said, look, let's go with this one. We can always fine tune this later on, but it worked really well with the density and the saturation we wanted. It was really, I think, a lucky thing.
You've leapt ahead. That's like my last questions about
Sorry.
It's okay. You're answering everything.
Usually the case.
It's great. I just ask you one thing. It's fantastic. Peter's American, right?
Yeah, he is.
So, and he wrote and directed it. So purely from an American's, do you think that had an effect on the history of it because he was American, or do you think it was, is it kind of an outsider's point of view of history?
I think so. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was born here.
Oh, okay.
And then he still have family in the UK. So he's got a proper interest in British history, and I think it's also the dark comedy that really is something that he invests on. He is I'd say, a very particular director because he's highly informed. And he's very much like you see this pace. I mean, he's very agitated, he's very clever, always like questioning his own ideas. And he scribbles a lot. He does his own storyboards. And I mean, badly, but clear. They're bad, but they're very clear. But scary sometimes because there's too much. So you say, Peter, I don't think this is the nature of the show we're making. So we have to be a little bit more economical, so you get more quality per setups instead of being so ambitious in terms of quantity.
Right.
But you can see he was right. I mean, this is all, he always wanted that. He always wanted to rely on inserts and pace, and in terms of like adding pace through cutaways and music and etc. So it was ironic and sometimes a little bit annoying how insistent he was about going frame by frame and trying to achieve his very ambitious storyboard. And we did it. I mean, we had some days we had to create a small splinter unit just to stay behind and do some inserts. But the first cut I saw, and I actually remember mentioning this with Ian Struthers, the camera operator, that was also like, wow, this is too much. I mean, the first cut I saw was probably 2 hours long. Every single setup we shot was in the cut.
Okay.
And now, of course, with all the studio inputs and etc., especially towards the end, it changed a little bit. We didn't have any additional photography, so he had to manage, solutions with the footage. But I think it's pretty much, the story is pretty much the same. It was also, I think basically was who should get the first shot, or the last shot, sorry. Right. Should we go with Chauncey? Should we stay with Lady Chauncey? Or sometimes there was an idea about finishing with the daughter. So the only one that seems to be sane in the family, also leaving the house. But I think the dead rat somehow give her an ending. And Claire, of course, eating pineapple. So sometimes I feel, because I've seen the movie with friends and family, and I feel, maybe this is not part of your questions, but like, one thing I hear is that the ending, it's not surprising enough. But I think that was Peter's drive throughout the whole thing. I mean, yes, these guys, I mean, there's no happy ending. You can, it is a little predictable. I mean, it's not gonna go right, and they just get, deeper and deeper in this, nightmare and confusion. And so I think sometimes I think movies can be just seen as tales, so it's just one little story about one family that tried to get somewhere, and just couldn't. So I think I like films like they have this kind of just simple story about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's not the answer to everything. It's
exactly.
not a solution to everything. It's not a great
There's also,
myth
if
or
the
a fable.
if the Duke arrives, you need another movie, right?
Yeah.
You need to start another movie.
That would ruin it. Yeah.
So, it's the sequel.
Yeah. You mentioned about the locations. Were they almost chosen before you got there? Or because you're working with Gary Williams, the production designer?
Yes.
Had he been on before you were there?
I think he started maybe 2 weeks before I did.
Okay, right.
So it's Scion House.
Yeah.
That's the interiors, where we shot the interiors. So is that close to Kew Gardens, I think.
Yeah.
And there's
it's on a flight path. That's all I know about Scion House.
Yeah, or the planes. Yeah. And the other one, the exterior house is called Montacute.
Yeah.
And it's somewhere. Sorry, I'm geographically a little
Somerset,
bit.
I've got
in
here.
Somerset.
Yeah.
And we heard that was the first time the exterior was shot for that location. So, we've been to those manor houses a few times, and it felt like something that was a little fresh.
Right.
Especially, you don't want to repeat locations too frequently. Especially, I think, for a small movie like this, if something needs to be original, is I'd say the main location, right?
Yeah,
so I think that was a goal.
But I mean, we've all shot in heritage houses. You probably more than most of us, but they're not easy to do.
No,
they're very restrictive.
Yeah.
You had a lot of live candles. I was watching them. I watched this yesterday, and just watching this now. I was checking for fake candles.
No fake candles.
Didn't look like they were
no fake candles. But it's funny. It was really, especially Scion House. It took them a long while to actually come back with an answer.
Yeah.
And they came back with a very precise answer. So we could only have 39 candles lit at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's like 39, but not 40 or whatever. So it's complicated. I mean, some of these houses, when they are privately managed,
Well,
you have a little bit more, or Wilton House in Salisbury. They have a little bit more flexibility. I mean, they're really film friendly, and you know, it's a different kind of. But when they're listed, when they're part of the
really hard. You've got teams of people watching that.
No rigging. I mean, you cannot touch the walls.
This was a question. You mentioned about having machines. You shot from. Peter said I've read in articles that you didn't light anything interior. So it was just all exterior lighting coming in through windows.
For day interiors,
for the day interiors.
Only had exterior sources.
Yeah.
For night.
But did you have machines and sky panels?
Decks,
towers.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we didn't have machines.
Yeah.
We probably have had one machine because we had a second floor bedroom or something, but it was literally like 1 or 2 for 5 weeks. Of course, mainly candles. Yeah. And eventually a paper lantern, helping, just
I saw one source, and it was the Duke and Duchess's dinner at the end. It looked like there was something above the fireplace.
Backlighting the whole.
That's almost the only thing.
What I usually do, if that's interesting, when you cannot rig anything, the source force are for me an interesting. So I just go on a kind of slash. Yeah. Bouncing on the white wall, so it creates a soft backlight whenever you have to face these restrictions. Yeah.
So I'm curious about the shot design and sequencing because, as you say, Peter storyboards everything, even with his crude sketches, but he's very precise about it. So the shot design and sequencing feels so authored. It's almost. It felt like I know you said that you shot everything that he boarded. And then he almost used everything because it felt like it's almost like a one-to-one. He wasn't shooting anything that was, although it got trimmed down, it felt like he knew exactly what he wanted.
It was mainly a single camera show, so we tried to be very precise because there was no. I think we realized right away there was no room for what I call fat in terms of like just giving him additional angles or. Maybe he could exercise having more takes, but we knew what we were doing and we were supposed to be doing next. I mean, it was very, very organized and meticulous and committed in a way. So, I think
So did you? And then you weren't you didn't operate on this. You're working with
Ian,
Ian and
Simon for some Steadicam days. Yeah.
Fantastic operators. Did any of the sequencing or any of the shots change with that relationship with the operators, or was it kind of a done deal with Peter's precision?
I think sometimes Peter wanted static shots, and I think we're always keen to offer.
There's a lot of
very slow pushes, and I think then Peter embraced them. Yeah. And understanding that it would be less tableau, like you called.
Yeah.
So just also to add. Because we always knew it was going to be pacey, so instead of just cutting from tile to tile, that they could also have a little bit of fluidity. So but it's.
Well, Peter talked about again having read, but Peter's done a lot of interviews, but read. Obviously, it's kind of dedicated to Hogarth. The fact that it's kind of those and Hogarth being that kind of political social satirist.
Yeah.
And his artwork was a lot of that kind of vignette. So a lot of it. Kind of nodded to those kind of vignettes, but then with those pushes to keep it all the dynamic.
One of the best examples using that reference is the morning after. I mean, the dawn when right at the end, you see the entertainers. You see the entertainers just sleeping. That is, But Peter was obsessed about that reference in a way. Yeah.
What other references did you use? I mean, for me, there's obvious. Not similarities, but there's a reference. There's the bones of Barry Lyndon, bit of a favourite.
Well, the candles, yes.
bit of the favourite, just for some of the dynamics, and I think some of the visceralness of that, and probably some of your approach with almost natural.
Well, yes, but I think in opposition to the favourite is, I'd say, there's a kind of a lack of super wide-angle lenses,
Yeah,
right? They're all a little bit more normal and kind of more, I don't know, conventional in a way. Yeah, but Barry Lyndon was, of course, mentioned. I mean, I didn't go back and watch the whole thing, but we picked a few sequences. Of course, there was conversations about using those lenses, you know, Kubrick's lenses, but I think we share this love for the C series. And I was coming, I mean, not far before from Andor, that I had done with the C series. So I really felt like, well, from sci-fi down to the 1700s, I think, and I knew a lot about them and how to use them, and I love the flares, and I love how, you know, unpredictable they are sometimes. So I think it was a good choice.
C's, they look pretty clean. I mean, I know you were kind of leaning into the bend and the, you know, the banding. And
the top flare, the horizontal flare.
But really, they held up.
They did, yeah. So it was Alexa 35, sorry,
Okay.
Alexa 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Is that? But I was going to ask that. Is that? Did you? What did you shoot Andor with?
Venice
Okay.
1. Yeah, that was before Venice 2.
Why did you go to the Alexa 35?
Because I then in 24 after this,
Right.
I went to Budapest and I did a series with the Alexa 35. And well, was this the first time? I think this was the first time I used the 35.
Okay.
So that was one of, I think, the main reason. I mean, coming from Arri film cameras, then to the Sonys for Andor, oh sorry, to the Crown, and then Venice 1 for Andor, because I was very familiar with it. I thought, you know, now I've been using the Sonys for a little while, let me try the Venice. Then I went to Budapest and I used the Venice again with Hawk lenses for the first time. My first time using Hawk 1.3 anamorphics. I mean, I'm not a technical DP, so I think the best thing for me is to keep trying and keep trying to keep myself informed about. So now we're testing Venice 2, which is a new toy for me. I haven't used the 65s yet, so that's something there might be an opportunity for. I still struggle a little bit when I see the large format shows now, or shot in large format. Was watching, I think it's House of the Dragons, this latest season, and I'm not a follower, right? I'm not but I feel this depth of field. The super shallow depth of field puts me, I think my culture, my visual culture, growing up with 35mm and super 35, that still, I think, translates more as reality to me and my brain. And I think I even felt that with the 5Ds sometimes, you know, because of the shallow depth. And I love the look, but I still struggle to see fiction. You know, I love Oppenheimer, I really do. But I judge it. I judge it all the time. I judge the close-ups and the lack of depth, and you know, it's beautiful. But it's funny how, for me, it's not like an immediate love. Do you know what I mean?
For me, I think it's about choosing when to use that and when to use it as a to make a point or to tell a particular sort of story, but for it to be throughout doesn't, or to not manage the depth field. You know, I think that's what part of what we're meant to do as well is managing that. So I was because I didn't know it was Alexa, because I assumed that you'd kind of taken Venice's on, and I was going to ask you about your ASA that you used, because obviously working with slightly more availability, you know, or working with candles. I mean, the sensitivity of digital formats these days are incredible. Did you choose to use? And with grain, obviously, because there's no shy. You're not shy about using grain with this.
Yeah.
Was that something that you
we didn't
in?
add any post grain. Okay. You know, it's all what you get on camera.
But did you shoot at any kind of high speeds, or did you?
We shot, I mean, all these candlelit scenes were shot on the 2560 ES.
Yeah.
There's one actually, only one shot when he's going through the hallway at night, holding, you know, that little bubble of light.
I love that.
It's actually not that one. There was a follow shot that we did for the previous scene when he's going to meet the maid.
Yes.
I was not convinced that I had enough. I mean, so we shot, what is the next one? 4800 ES. Yeah. I think that's the next one. And the next morning, re-watching the footage, the jump in noise from 2560 to the next one, 32, I think, 3200 ES. It was really kind of a jump. So we had, because luckily, even with the lack of time, because Peter is so, I mean, precise about everything, we showed him that the noise was just not looking, I mean, it's okay. I mean, you can see it, we can grade it, and etc. But it's just like, it's not, doesn't look that sophisticated. So he agreed, and then we just reshot one setup. Right. Basically following Richard E. Grant. Was not even about his face or, but so that's lesson learned. Okay. Yeah.
And then for daytime stuff, did you keep it at 2560? So
no,
you've got that.
Day interiors at 1600, right. And day exteriors could be 800 or, you know, with some NDs. Yeah.
I've shot Alexas at 1600 for years now because I like the digital noise.
Yeah. And the range.
It's always great.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I love that. And those ESs, the extended speeds are just fantastic. I love the noise that they bring. I was going to ask you about that shot where he goes to, when he finds when Halifax and Lady Savage. So it's that bit where the bubble, where it's literally, it's just him floating through the thing.
Because that's the second time he walks by. Yeah. And the first time we had two fireplaces on. And again, it's just, I think that one was me basically saying, you know what, can we just try without anything else? And just it's beautiful.
You didn't use any moon color at all in any of that? No, nothing. There was nothing.
Closed windows. Yeah. I think we shot that during the day, actually.
Right.
We just shut all the shutters and windows and did it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You had some crew with you that you mentioned that you've got your crew out working with you, regular crew. So Andy Long, your gaffer, and Jodie Knight, your key grip.
Yeah. They were all available. Yeah.
They were all available. I noticed, looking him up on the internet, Andy had worked with, you'd obviously worked with him a lot before, but he'd also worked on Wolf Hall with Gavin Finney, which, that series 1, which was a lot of candlelight. So was that useful? You know, the fact that you all had that
I don't remember having deep conversations about that movie, but I remember him telling me about his experience. But again, I think the sensors now are very, very different from what they had. I think that was probably shot on film.
No, I don't know, actually. That's a good question. But I mean, that was 2015. It was a long time.
So there was a lot of, and conversations about double wick candles, triple wick candles.
I was watching for that.
How you get bigger flames. So I love that research because that's when, the art department, there's a true collaboration in terms of, those are my sources, so I really need your help.
Yeah, fantastic. So you used C-series, PV C-series. No filters?
No filters.
No, because you're just going to get with all the candles.
Yeah, and they are kind of milky enough, I'd say, these lenses,
fantastic. Oh, is there any particular, I mean, it's obviously those tricky, the candles were a tricky lighting set. I mean, was there anything that stood out that was particularly tricky for you? The speed that you were moving, or did it all come easy?
I don't think it's ever easy, but it's it was small, and I'd say coming from the Crown and Andor and going back to a small crew, and I'd say that was the upside, and then of course you have to face some frustrations because you don't have enough time or you don't have enough resources. But I think it was a very healthy enterprise. I mean, we all wanted to be there. And, you know, the world was confusing, and I myself, you know, it really brought me a lot of anxiety, the strikes and the uncertainty about the schedule and et cetera. So it was kind of life-saving, you know, that we had. Also the challenge, because it's not just you're going to do like a contemporary movie where you're just going to a, you know, a fast food chain or something. So, you know, having to work with, you know, these cast and candles and it just, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun. And I remember even poking Claire, saying, "You know why I got why I took the job?" Like saying, because I flagged this to someone working with her on the first seasons on The Crown, and how austere she was, and you know, the performance it was very sober and mature, and you know, even when she was young and anxious and, you know, trying to fully understand her new role. But this, I mean, there's something she does with her eyes in some of those close-ups, over-shoulder shots, that of course is intentional. But now I want to ask her, you know, what kind of decision is that for an actress? Just to make your eyes to move like that. Like, so I think that's the stuff that I really enjoy, you know, when I see good acting and people just really delivering and bringing something, you know. It was really energizing, I'd say, at that point, you know, in 23.
Well, I think all the cast were fantastic. I mean, Richard E. Grant was kind of born for it.
Belle Powley she's amazing.
Yeah. Just
really
her responses to things.
I mean, it's not a spoiler, is it? She's Petunia now on Harry Potter.
Oh.
Belle Powley, yeah.
Well, there you go. Heard that here first. Don't put that out. Fantastic. I think that's. I think I'm done. I'm out of questions. Look at that. Has anybody got any questions? And if you do have a question, somebody's going to run at you with a microphone. We're going to ask you to stand up if you could. This is your moment to shine.
Hi, Adriano.
Hi.
Thank you for that. It was really...
You couldn't stand up for us.
No, I shall stand.
I think
Hello,
someone's going to try and shoot.
No, I was just wondering, you know, having now done a lot of period, is there anything, if you were to do that film again today, that you would have done differently?
Good question.
If you had more budget, would you have done anything different? I guess if you had more resources.
Probably some of my day interiors would have been a little bit more well-shaped. We literally had rooms with 3 windows and 2 sources only. So I had to shoot one side and then move 2 sources and fill the other gap, which is fun, you know. I think we managed to do it. I am a little bit, I mean, I shouldn't be, but trying to answer your question, I think lately I am kind of accepting. I mean, there's this thread on Instagram and Facebook or whatever with people that they think they found like something really special, that the Hollywood movies are losing color, right? So, and I kind of paid attention to that. I mean, to see if I agree with this as a statement, and I don't, because we can pick so many movies that are still saturated and vivid and colorful and etc. I think I would probably spend a little bit more time developing the LUT, which I think I feel now lucky because of the schedule we had was so restrictive, and the fact that we were at Goldcrest when they presented this, and we really liked it. So we thought like, okay, you know what? Let's not stress too much. This seems to be an interesting starting point. Of course, we tweaked a little bit in post, but it's just a questioning in terms of like overall saturation. This is something I'm trying to ask. I'm asking myself this question a little bit more constantly now. But don't know. I think I certainly wouldn't change the camera. Certainly wouldn't change the lenses. Yeah, I think maybe just a little bit more. Just a little. For instance, I think probably 1 or 2 more days of Steadicam, or it's just tiny things. You know, we shot it in 30 days. I mean, if you can translate, if you had the same story and you had another 5 days, it just makes it better, right?
But is that going to? I know because I think we all do that. Is that you could? There's always a little bit of something that you could have done. You could have spent a bit more time doing so. But would it be then? It wouldn't be the same film.
No,
and I think that you know, when you see it. It always takes me a couple of years to fall in love with a film again. Is that, but when you watch it back and go, well, it would have been a different thing.
Yeah.
I think you know, it's got its own life.
I learned, and I think filmmaking is an exercise of frustration, basically. It's about the things you can't do, right? So you have to love what you can do. So I think that's something that is, in terms of like how you move through your day and through your career, it's hardly perfect, right? Or it's never perfect. So you have to learn how to give up on things, or how to be generous with your director and say, you know what, let's do the way you want. And you know, so you carry a little bit of a frustration. One of the best compliments I think I've ever got was from Daldry. He said, I see your frustration, but it doesn't last. He said, in 2 minutes, you're the same guy again. You're the same guy trying to be positive and push things forward. So that's one thing I learned. I mean, if you stick with your things, it just makes life hard and miserable. And this, with all the difficulties and all restrictions, it's a film I really like. I really do. So, yeah. And also coming from my background, you know, growing up in Brazil with limited resources and etc., going back to this kind of adventures, it's really cool. I feel comfortable, confident. Yeah, it's a good thing.
It's great to be able to do those things big and to come down to that, because you bring the lessons that you've learned from big.
You know, I haven't met and shook hands with Ben Davis, but I think Ben manages his career brilliantly in terms of like doing big stuff and then, you know, in a sharing, or you know, I think that is a very good flow for your career, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're just doing blue screen and
That's the dream.
Yeah.
You said you worked with Rob Pitsey, a very good colorist.
Yes.
Did you do much? You said you worked with just like a basic shooting, like just a film emulation. How much time did you get in the grade? And was there a lot of?
We shared the grade, to be really honest, because I was shooting. So I did 1 day with Rob.
Set the Bible.
I mean, we started from the lot, but then we gave and organized like a visual Bible for Peter, because Peter actually had the time to come over and grade for 5 days, I think. It was really short. Yeah. So I had a session with Rob, so we went scene by scene. We offered some sort of a palette and a Bible, and then we shared those frames with Peter, still in the US. He said, good, I don't think I'm going to change much. He didn't. So I think it worked. I mean, it was, again, that's another frustration, I'd say, for us, when you cannot be present. But I think we managed to somehow help each other, and it was really efficient.
But having somebody on side like Rob is
and also Peter never leaves the room. I mean, it's not like he's one of those directors that is eventually on the phone or talking about, you know, his next project. If he's there, he's there, and you know, he's proper.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Hi, thanks Adriano. I was just wondering if you can talk us through your approach to the eclipse moment and how you approach that.
Well, I think we agreed from the beginning that all the super wide shots would have to be VFX. So there was this thing about trying to, the conversation or the research was, is it better if we actually do the wides on a sunny day or on a cloudy day to be able to actually create the, again, we didn't have the choice. We had one drone day, so we had to shoot. So anyway, we offered the VFX, you know, some of those wides. All the inserts that you see, paintings and maps, that's all like literally someone holding a flag and, you know, moving it above the thing. So it was very hands-on, I'd say. But Peter, he's so, again, I insist, so passionate and articulate as a producer as well, that all his contacts with, you know, the VFX and the way we briefed them with, you know, real footage of real eclipses, and was, I mean, actually turned out being simpler than we thought. I mean, there was a big kind of a section or chunk of our prep. So how do we achieve this? But in the end, I mean, it feels like the solutions were very simple and still believable. No, but it was very, very simple, very indie.
Perfect. Any more questions? You've got another one. No, well, let's. Oh.
Yeah, sure. Hi again, me. I just wanted to, you briefly touched on the candles, but I wanted to know if during the testing of, you know, your candles with the production design, if you learned anything about that, because I mean, lighting with candles is always one of the hardest things for, especially young cinematographers trying to achieve that. But sort of things you learned, because I mean, that was a stellar performance of candlelit work, so sort of, yeah. If you could expand on that.
I mean, there was a few gags, for instance, a clutch of candles behind, what is that, a 2x2 or maybe a 3x3 frame, diffusion frame. So it turns into a bigger source, but it's very kind of, you know, soft, but you still get the flickering. I usually don't use any tungsten sources or whatever. I'm trying to mimic the same color for the eyes, or just especially when you're shooting Claire, if you want to just give it a little bit more. I struggle with the flicker master, so I never use it. So if there is let's say a solid lamp that doesn't flicker, I usually bring just two candles on it, one on each side or something, so there's a little bit more there. There's these things about, you know, double wick candles, triple wick candles that are very good for lighting. Sometimes they don't look good on camera because the flame can literally get this big, so they kind of don't look.
The base of it gets wide because of
exactly. It starts going wider, and literally. So I think, I mean, one of the things is the choice for close-up lenses that allow you to get quite close with your source. That's probably another trick. I mean, a candle a foot away is one thing, 2 feet away is nothing. So you have to manage to convince, you know, your director that, you know, if you want a beautiful close-up, you have to be on a 50 or 80 or whatever. So that's, I think, is one thing. Coincidentally, the one I did in Budapest, that is America in the late 1800s, also just before electricity became available. So you carry a little bit of your knowledge and, you know, and experience to another show. Now, sometimes what I do to mimic oil lamps is, so you have an LED source inside, and then you age the glass really heavily, and then you wrap your source with gauze or cotton or something so you don't actually see the source. And it's funny, when you, on camera, when you put, because I did this in Budapest, the same lamp with an actual oil flame and the other one, you barely tell the difference if it's an opaque glass. If you can see the flame, of course it's different. But yeah, I don't tend to imitate candles with other sources. I try to use them for real, yeah.
So no LEDs, didn't use any LEDs?
As daylight sources.
Right, okay.
But not for, yeah. So of course when there's day interiors and you see, for instance, when Chauncey comes for the first time trying to convince her to accept the challenge, that it's one of those things for indie movies. Can we just take them a little bit closer to the window and, you know, manage to twist them a little bit so the light just hits?
Well, I was watching watching for highlights, and she had the 3 windows, and there wasn't a sort of a wrapping frame. I couldn't see that, and there was no lift in his eyes as well.
I didn't use much bounce. No, I was really enjoying, you know, trying to do something that is gritty or you know, beautiful but still grainy and gritty and dark.
But
I mean, those houses were really dark in the period. Yeah.
But also relying on the sensor deal, because obviously if you've got candles and faces and you've got the hot sources in shot, to be able to manage all of that. Yeah. So was that something that the cameras just did, or did it take a bit of work in post? I mean, did he do a lot of, you know, was there a lot of windowing and cleaning of faces, or popping faces out or eyes?
Not really, no.
You probably didn't have time, not in 5 days.
Probably not too much, yeah.
Amazing. Another question. Did you have a question?
I'm sorry, it was again about the candles.
The candles question. Oh.
I'd say I don't think this film would have been possible on film.
Okay.
Because, you know, if the fastest stock is 500, and even if you push to 1,000, I mean, of course you can light faces with candles, but it's, I think that little bubble that he walks with just the my feeling, my impression is we would have struggled with the grain more than we struggled with noise.
Sure.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Hi, Diana. I just had one question. So, just like is The Crown and in this, you have a very certain look, like the oil pastel painting looks. So, other than the PD and the makeup, does that change anything for lighting in terms of overall shoot? Like, is there something you prefer more to gain this look, or is it normal and then you manage in post?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm answering your question. When people talk about Caravaggio, which is obviously a genius, but Vermeer has been always, like, for me, the kind of the simple single source sort of philosophy. And I think that's how I perceive those painters. I mean, that's something I do even with paintings. Go and check the eye and see what kind of source, and try and imagine the source Caravaggio had or Vermeer had. And so I basically call it single source philosophy. I mean, of course, when you're talking about a night interior with 55 candles, it's kind of a little bit different. But the closer I get to my characters, the challenge is now to kill stuff. So there's only one shadow, so that's somehow how I perceive those masters, and if that's something I have in me, is this tendency to try and simplify, especially mid shots and close up, onto a single source. Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the show, of course. You know, every show demands a little bit of, but it's funny because Andor is also period, right? They say it's a galaxy a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So it's not futuristic. I've been doing only period for my last, I don't know how many years. Yeah.
Well, you've been doing it beautifully. Andor, I think, was one of the for a Star. I think I told you at the time. For Star Wars, is the best looking since the original films. I think Andor Series 1 was a masterpiece. Thank you for that. That's all we've got time for. So thank you, everyone. Adriano Goldman.
Thanks for coming. Thank you very much. Thank you.